Hey guys, what is up? So today I've got several updates regarding Project Sense, a Cyberpunk Ghost Story. Now tomorrow, the pre-orders are going up for the limited physical release on the PlayStation Vita and Switch. The 1.01 patch is in the works for Nintendo Switch, which will address a few issues that people have been reporting, and we have an update to some of the censorship drama that's been going on surrounding the game. So first of all, let's get into this limited physical release pre-order, which is happening January 14th at 11 a.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time. There's a standard edition which will be available for the Nintendo Switch with no order limit. Then there are collector's editions, which include the game, soundtrack CD, certificate, printed manual, and the collector's box. For Switch, that is limited to 2,000 copies, and for Vita, only 800 copies. And there will be no open pre-order for standard copies on the Vita. Now, for those of you that have backed the Kickstarter, this collector's edition will be different from the Kickstarter collector's edition. That version, I believe, comes in a different collector's box. It also includes a hardcover art book and possibly a different looking soundtrack CD, but I'm not totally sure on that. I do know for sure it comes with that hardcover art book though. So it is different. Now, if you only ordered a standard physical copy from the Kickstarter, I think that one was only like 25 bucks. They are working on differentiating the actual game case that you will get for the Kickstarter from this release. They mentioned possibly using a holographic sticker or something to that effect. Hopefully that would be on the game case and not on the cellophane wrap. At this point, they've only said they're working on it, so hopefully that happens. I think this is a very important thing for these Kickstarter games to include some form of unique feature as recognition for the early support. Also, it appears the Kickstarter is finalized and there's no way to order any more of the Kickstarter variants of this game. So 800 copies isn't very many on the Vita. Now, of course, some people already bought the game through the Kickstarter and some of those people probably won't order this version, but I know a good amount of them will, including myself. I'm gonna want both versions of it. So it's really hard to say how fast it's gonna go, but 800, not very many copies. So yeah, set your alarms. The physical Vita version is expected to ship in March, while the physical Switch version is expected to ship in April. Next up, as some of you guys already know, the game is currently out on the Nintendo eShop, and some people have been reporting issues with this first release. Now there's a 1.01 patch that is currently in the works, and that will be coming soon. It says here that it will address some visual errors, load times, and bugs. Now more details will be released about that patch as it gets closer to being finalized. But it's worth noting that the physical copies of the game will be including that 1.01 patch on the game card. So I do have the game installed on my Nintendo Switch. Before that, I played a little bit on the PC, so I kind of knew what to expect. And I have to say, it runs better than I was expecting on the Switch. Obviously, the textures are lower resolution than on the PC, but that works out perfectly fine if you're just planning on playing the game in handheld mode anyway. It looks good, but it'll only get better when that 1.01 patch hits. Granted, I haven't played through the whole game yet. I've been saving my full playthrough for the Vita version. Now, that being said, we have been told to lower our expectations for the PlayStation Vita release. Obviously, the Vita hardware is a bit underpowered these days, and after seeing the beta PC release early on, I remember asking the developer if the Vita version would even be possible anymore after I saw what lighting effects and stuff they were using and the large textures. But I was assured it'd still be coming, and it looks like that is still the case. I'm sure the texture resolution will be lower and load times will likely be longer, but we'll see. I just can't imagine it running as smoothly on the Vita as it does on the Switch. All right, so back to the censorship issue. You guys remember that statement that was put out by Top Hat Studios that was pretty much standing up to the censorship requests and cancellation of the game? Well, a lot of people that have played the game on PC already have kind of found that hard to believe, or they're just at least in shock that someone would want this game censored. I mean, it's not that bad because, like I was saying before, it's not really lewd. There's like one scene in the bar near the beginning where there's a holographic pole dancer, but she's censored and obscured. It just really looks more ridiculous than it does lewd, but that's it. Pretty much the game is just a slower paced horror exploration game from here on in. Well, as it turns out, a lot of people were saying that it was the TERF community that was calling for the game's censorship. Now, for those of you that are not familiar, that is a trans exclusionary radical feminist, which, to break it down, is a radical feminist that doesn't believe trans women should be considered real women. Now look, I'm all for feminists and women's rights, just not when it crosses into the radical man-hating territory. And I don't think all media needs to be diluted for the masses either. I think people should be free to live the way they want to live as long as you're not hurting anyone. No one should be telling you how you're allowed to live your life or what to believe or what content you're allowed to consume as an adult. I can never understand why some people have to make other people's lives their business. Just be nice to people and focus on your own life first. There's no good reason for someone to invalidate someone else's beliefs. And people are free to disagree with that too, just don't be throwing so much hate around. Anyway, the publisher released some of these messages that they got. They censored the names and faces so nobody will get harassed, but just so you get an idea of what type of message the publisher, Top Hat Studios, was receiving for them to put out the anti-censorship statement that they did, well, here's a little bit of that. Women's voices are being denied in the industry. Men pretending to be women are invading safe spaces for female developers. I mean, most of these development studios are just indie studios. They're ran by the person that's doing the development, so anybody is free to develop a game, whether you're male or female. It's not like anybody's shutting anyone else out. But you know, I guess that's debatable. I don't know how it is in the bigger corporations. And then it says, and now you gotta bring out a game like Sense to make things even harder for women. Look, I mean, there's all sorts of games. I don't think this makes it any harder for women to get into the gaming scene. Anyone can grab a development tool these days and work on their own project. In fact, there is even a woman that was working on this game too. So let's see. How many effing real actual women do you have on your team? Any? Even one? Okay, all right, I was gonna read through some of this, but I don't think I can. This is disgusting. How can people be like this? If any of them even tried playing the game, they would see that they've got it so wrong. Anyway, feel free to pause the video and go through it yourself. It makes me sick reading through stuff like this, so I just can't even do it. Anyway, guys, that's gonna do it for today. I just wanted to make sure nobody misses any of the info on this release. Set your alarms if you're planning on picking up the physical collector's edition, because I'm not sure how long it'll last. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Until next time, I will see you later.